The breathwork is a vast topic. I'll keep it succinct, but we breathe, the average person takes 22,000 breaths a day. In each of those breaths, we'll have a direct impact on the nervous system. The nervous system is like our computer's background operating system. So it connects nearly every major function in the body. So the one way that we can influence our nervous system consciously is through the breath. So if you can think of it as we experience, or the way we perceive like our everyday experience of life is through the lens of this nervous system. And we can manipulate the nervous system through the breath. Therefore, the breath has a direct impact on the experience or your experience of life itself. So that's as powerful as it gets. And again, I said it before, it's so often overlooked. So when we talk about nervous system, there are two states of the nervous system. So on one side, we have the sympathetic part of the nervous system. So that's effectively our stress response. At the very extreme end of that, that's our fight or flight. But generally, we rely on this stress response to get stuff done. It's all about activation. So if we want to do a workout at the gym, we need to be able to tap into that sympathetic response. If we need to bash through a hard day at work, or we have presentations, or we have deadlines, we need that stress response. It's driving our physiology, the way our body works. It's setting it up towards action. Then the opposite side of that is the parasympathetic side of the nervous system. So this is the part of the nervous system that's responsible for rest and digestion. And this is where recovery happens. This is where we restore our mind and our body. This is where we get to bring true rest into the mind and the body as well. Now, modern life and the way we live these days, we tend to be stress dominant. So there's an over-reliance on stress physiology, this sympathetic nervous system, and that can lead to us just feeling constantly tired. It can contribute to emotions like irritability or emotional instability, poor sleep. All of these symptoms can be linked directly to an overactive stress response. So where the breath comes in is that we can either downregulate, so actually shift into that rest and digest state directly by taking conscious control of our breath, or we can switch it the other way and use it to bring energy into the body and drive us towards action. So we can, of our own will and based on whatever situation that we're in, we can either choose to upregulate or downregulate. So, for example, if we're in a situation where we're feeling anxious, we're feeling stressed, maybe overwhelmed, how that might show up is we might feel a tightness in the chest, we might have trembling in our fingers, we might feel that our heart rate is super high, we might find it difficult to focus and concentrate. So one way, if we're in that situation and we're feeling those symptoms, by taking control of our breath, we can start to manage those symptoms better. So really, really simple. It's just extending the exhale. Okay. So we just simply breathe in through the nose for 4 seconds. And then we breathe out the nose for 6 seconds. If we were to repeat that again, in through the nose for 4 seconds. And out through the nose for 6 seconds. So if you were to repeat that for, say, 2 to 4 minutes, you would feel those symptoms start to melt away. Now, the reason why this works is that when we extend the breath, we're slowing down our breathing. So breathing in for 4 and out for 6 is bringing your overall breathing rate down to 6 breaths per minute. Most people breathe between 14 and 22 breaths per minute. So when we slow the breath down like that, we then slow the heart rate. And then your nervous system's watching these signals. It's reading and watching these signals. And when your breathing slows and your heart rate slows, it's saying, you're telling your nervous system that you're safe. And that's when we start to see these symptoms of being anxious and stressed and overwhelmed. We start to see them melt away. Thinking and overthinking just creates more anxiety and more stress, but we're operating at a level or a layer below. So we're changing our physiology, which then from the inside out will start to calm your mind down inevitably. So there are different types of cognitive processes that are activated in each state. So when we're in that stress response, we're hypervigilant, we're looking for threats, receiving threats. So that's what creates that overthinking, that feeling scared perhaps. All of the fear centers are all activated in the stress response. But when we dive into the parasympathetic response, we start to activate it and it becomes online, we start to turn on different cognitive processes. Okay? So the brain states change. So you start to look at things a little bit more analytically. You're less vigilant. We can start to feel calm. You're a bit more subjective. So all of these things, it's definitely not thinking about it. Taking the thinking away, just observing the breath and allowing your nervous system to do its thing. So a really, really good tool. Focus is something called box breathing. Okay, so this is quite popular. It's actually been made famous by Navy SEALs. So a lot of people talk about US Navy SEALs using this tool if they're about to jump out of a plane or helicopter into action, if they're in a pre-combat situation and they want to remain calm, but they also want to have focus. We use a technique called box breathing. So really simply, there are four corners of this breath. There's an inhale, a hold, an exhale, and a hold. And they're all the same length, hence the name box breathing. So I would typically encourage anyone to start with a box of 4. So the box breathing will simply be inhaling for 4 seconds through the nose, holding for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds. So again, breathe in, hold, exhale, hold. So you would just cycle that for, again, anything from 2 to 4 minutes. So what we have here is we have these small breath holds. The small breath holds just gently activate the stress response at the lower end of that stress response. So we're still bringing focus and there's a bit of activation there. But then focus exhales bring the parasympathetic online.